Good morning, everybody. Welcome to History in the Hand Metal Detecting. I'm Steve Okino, and we're here in north central Pennsylvania in what was a logging town that actually started a leather tannery, and one of the largest tanneries in the country was located here. It's no longer here. But using LiDAR technology, I was able to locate behind me a row of little foundations, and so I got permission from the landowner to snoop around. He says it's really swampy, but we'll go in and take a look. You're invited. Come on along. Let's see if we can get some history to hold right in our hand.
Metal detecting. It's full of adventure, full of planning, for some camaraderie.
Ready, Ryan?
Oh, yeah.
It's full of elation, frustration, and even inspiration. People do it for all sorts of different reasons. Me, I just want to hold a little history in the hand.
Well, I have not found a foundation yet, but there's a huge spring that comes out of the mountain right here. Huh. I do have a signal right here. And that clearly says sterling. So I have found silver. Very decorative. It looks like it was a little band that went around something. What? I do not know. But yeah, it's very delicate, very nice. All right, on to the next. How about that? Our first hole was silver. I hope that trend continues. All right, we have another target. That's a big lead ball right there. That was a bullet that probably got shot into the bank here. All right, on to the next. Still no foundation, but oh, that is a coin. And I would hope that it's an Indian head penny. By the looks of it, it's pretty... Wow. Boy, is that eaten away. Since it's so wet here, I don't think there's any harm in spraying some water on this to try and clean it off. Yep, that's definitely an Indian head. Let's get a little water on that. Yeah, there's the shield. And there's the wreath. Our soil here is pretty rough on copper. It literally is eating this away. There's the side of the headdress right there. Looks like 1885. Very interesting. All right. We'll get I'll get a close-up of it. On to the next. The landowner said that it was swampy, and he was not kidding. And I have a feeling this is some kind of big, very big target. Possibly not. I like the color of that. Oh, there it is right there. A ginormous ring, and that is off of horse tack. That's a history right in the hand. Beautiful. All right, on to the next. There is what appears to be a penny signal, but oh my goodness. You might know it's underneath the rock as big as half the county. Let's see what we can find. Huh. May not be a penny, but it's a signal. And that's why we come out. Well, what have we here? Looks like a Looks like a little brass, looks like a decorative. It looks like it was decorative. Huh. Who knows? Well, whatever it was, that's what it is. That's here from 150 years ago. So we are indeed holding history right in our hand. Nice. On to the next. There's a surface find. We found a hawk feather. And there is something right here. Says it's real close to the surface, and there it is. And that is the interior plate of a mantle clock, a little clock. So all of the gears and the springs and the sprockets would have been inside here. So that's interesting. Little history. And here we are holding it right in our hand. And it is brass because it does not stick to the magnet. And sometimes there is very, very, very fine, tiny little stamped in information. Oh, there it is right there. Sometimes you can get a manufacturer and a date. I'll have to look that up. Anconia Clock Company. We'll see if we can get a date on that. That's interesting. On to the next. Well, what we have here is cast iron, and my guess is this was the leg of a stove. On to the next. Stop recording. Well, because I wasn't paying attention, my Nocta Legend ran out of batteries. So I'm going back to the truck to grab my trusty old Simplex. I completely forgot. I have an auxiliary battery pack for this. So I don't have to go to the Simplex. Nice! Alrighty, well, we have we got quite a screaming high tone here. It might be big, but I'll bite. And there we have it. I see what is unmistakably a spoon. So, and it might have had a little bit of fancy on there. That's nifty. Cool beans, we found a spoon. Very nice. There is actually a cellar hole right there. And there's another one over there. On my way back, I picked up another great signal right over there. So we have located the line of foundations, but my goodness, is it ever soggy here. Wow. Buried down in this thick clay, there is the tiny little brass buckle that caused all the trouble. So, yeah, I'm gonna definitely save this. It took me probably 5 minutes to find it. Yep, tiny little brass buckle. Buried in the swamp. All right, on to the next. Well, we found us a strap hinge, or part of one. Ooh, that's cool. We found a treasure chest latch. Nifty. Cool. So the little ring would have come up through there and this would have hooked into it. Nice. Well, you know, we wanted to find history to hold in our hand, and indeed we have. Love it. All right. And this time I officially need to go. But we'll be back to this location for sure. And we need to hurry up and get here because pretty soon this is going to grow up and I won't be able to swing here at all. Well, it's a week later. I'm going back in. And I know that we know this area is swampy already. And it rained about a little over a half an inch last night. So the water coming off of that mountain right there is going to be, it's going to make it pretty soggy. But we'll take a shot at it and then we'll call that a hunt. On to the next hole. Now, another spoon bowl. That one was broken a long time ago. I think it's just an old brass one. But we are right outside of what was one of those home foundations from an old tannery. So right in there. So this was broken probably in the 1800s. That's cool. All right, on to the next. Well, what do we have here? Ooh. Wow. I'd say that's cast iron. Yeah, I think that was possibly part of this would have been the burner of a cook stove, I think. And then there would have been a little hook right here, yes, to hook a handle on to lift this off, to put more to put more fuel on the stove. So that's my guess. A household item right outside a household. Nice. On to the next. Cool. Surfaced find. Nice. 1800's golf ball. All right. Well, I see what the high tone was all about. We have found another spoon. My goodness. I guess they ate a lot. We'll see if we might be able to get a little detail. Y and T. So I'll have to look that up. I don't really see much bling on it. I think it was just kind of plain. I guess down here we got a little bit of pretty. Looks like there was just a bit of silver plating right there, maybe, that's left. But all right, well, we found ourselves a spoon. Another one. Alrighty, on to the next. It would appear that I have missed the signal. That is not a first. There it is, and it looks like it was part of maybe a cast iron cauldron or something. Got a screamer real close to the surface here. Oh. And that's why. A little bit of horse tack. All right. On to the next. Well, I have found something nearly on the surface. And I don't know what it is. It's pretty cool looking, and there actually is some writing on it that that is just a little bit beyond identifying. P-A-T, patented 1883 or 1885, but that's all I know. July 31st, 18. Your guess is as good as mine. That's all we're gonna get out of this. But I don't know what it is. If you do, let me know. Another foundation hole right here, completely filled with water. But we are starting to get into old apple trees, so I wonder if this is just about the end of the row of houses, and this would have been the orchard that they picked apples off in the fall. I'll continue to go out through there a little ways, and then I want to go up, higher up on the bank above the houses. I'll bet they spent time up there. Huh. Big iron. Well, I got faked out by big iron. On to the next. Say no more. Well, I was wrong about the foundations stopping over there. These look just like they are maybe crab apples, but there's a foundation hole right there. There's another one right over there. So it's a little bit more open over here. So I'll enjoy myself here, not having to fight with wild roses quite as much. Okay, now it looks, there was a slight depression here, and I've got a signal down deep, but in my digging, I'm coming up with a lot of broken glass. So I'm wondering if this wasn't a privy. So this big iron thing is what was giving me the signal. Gosh, that was ginormous. And that's what was keeping it from coming out. But yeah, I've got all sorts of different colored glass. Ooh, there's green glass. Wow, look how thick that was. I found this little delicate bottle. There was some other glass in here. So my guess is this was a privy. And I'm not a privy digger, so I'll just keep going. But that is a huge old piece of iron. It looks like it was pounded out by a blacksmith, so I don't know what that was for, but it's big. I think I see an axe head. Yes, I do. And that will easily make number 50 for me. They throw a phenomenal signal. But that's a 2-bit axe head. Boy, I think it's a little beyond getting a maker's mark off of, but nice old axe head. We wanted to find history to hold in our hand, and we are doing it, folks. That is gorgeous. All right, on to the next. All right, everybody, we're done with this hunt, and we did wind up finding quite a few things, even though I overdressed today. Let's take a look at what we found, starting with a beautiful hawk feather. And then we found these huge big rings. We found this, I think this was off of a pulling tree. So that's horse tack. We found this thing. We don't know what it is, but it was patented in the 1880s. It's possible that it might have come off an old treadle sewing machine or something. Found an axe head. Found 2 complete spoons and 1 partial spoon bowl. We found a big chunk of copper, found a little brass buckle, and we did find this cool treasure chest hasp. we found a little decorative thing, a great big huge old musket ball. We found a big brass bolt, our little sterling band, which I'm thinking might have been off a decorative hairbrush or something like that. We found an 1885 Indian head penny and this clock plate from the Ansonia Clock Company, which turns out there's an Ansonia about 20 miles from here, but this Ansonia Clock Company was from Connecticut, which is where many of the clocks were actually made. So that is a pretty cool bunch of finds just for this little bit of time we spent. So I'm glad that you came along on this little journey. And I'm going to remind you that if you are not looking for it, you're not going to find it. Hey, check us out next time right here on History in the Hand.